A man was out walking one day and went by a retirement home. As he passed the front lawn, he saw 9 old ladies basking in the sun in lounge chairs. When he looked closer, he realized that they were all stark naked. He went to the door and rang the bell. When the director answered the door, the man asked if he realized there were 9 naked old ladies lying in the sun on the front lawn. The director said, "Yes," and went on to explain that the old ladies were all retired prostitutes living at the retirement home, and they were having a yard sale. A busload of senior citizens were traveling to a casino. Halfway into the trip, a little old lady walked up to the front of the bus and told the driver they had a pervert on the bus. The driver told her he would check it out at the casino, so she went back to her seat and sat down. 5 minutes later, a second little old lady walked to the front of the bus and told the driver they had a pervert on the bus. Since this was the second complaint in 5 minutes, he thought he had better check it out. He pulled the bus to the side of the road and walked to the back of the bus. There he found a little bald-headed old man crawling around on his hands and knees. The driver asked, "What the hell are you doing down there?" The bald-headed man looked up and said, "I lost my toupee and I'm trying to find it. I thought I had it twice, but mine is parted on the side." A woman was telling her friend about her husband. "It was I who made my husband a millionaire." "And what was he before you married him?" asked the friend. The woman replied, "A multi-millionaire." A young woman and her boyfriend got on a crowded city bus, and since there were no seats left, she ended up sitting on his lap. As the bus started moving, she turned to the driver and said, "Hey, could you drive a little slower? The ride is way too bumpy." The driver chuckled and replied, "Ma'am, you might want to get off his lap and check for yourself. This bus hasn't moved an inch in the last 30 minutes. An elderly couple was sitting outdoors at a cafe when they noticed an old man who seemed to be having trouble crossing the street with an ungainly shuffle. The man said to his wife, "He surely has bad arthritis to walk like that." His wife replied, "No, that's definitely old-time rheumatism." They couldn't agree, so the man decided to ask the old man. He walked over to him and said, "Excuse me, sir, but my wife and I saw you having difficulty crossing the street, and I told her that you have arthritis, but she insisted that you have rheumatism. Which one of us was wrong?" The old man said, "The 3 of us were wrong." "3 of us were wrong. How so?" asked the man, to which the old man replied, "You were wrong when you said I had arthritis. Your wife was wrong when she said I had rheumatism, and I was wrong when I thought I just had to pass gas." A man named Paul caught a fever and was feeling dramatic. He turned to his wife and said, "Honey, I think my time's up. When I'm gone, you can remarry. Just make sure you give my new shoes and clothes to your next husband." Hearing this, his wife burst into tears. Paul, touched by her reaction, said, "Oh, sweetheart, don't cry. I'm still alive for now." His wife sobbed harder and said, "I'm crying because none of your suits will fit our neighbor Bob." Teacher: "Johnny, why are you down today?" Johnny: "Because my mom is at the hospital and my dad is at the police station." Teacher: "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, dear. Do you want to go home?" Johnny: "Yes, please." After Johnny has left the classroom, the teacher asks the other classmates, "Why is Johnny's father at the police station and the mother at the hospital?" Classmate: "Because his father is a policeman and his mom's a nurse." An old man had just married a much younger woman. At first, everything was great, but soon problems started in the bedroom. No matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't last long enough to satisfy her. His wife was getting frustrated and even started dropping hints about needing more. Feeling desperate, the old man went to see a doctor. After listening, the doctor said, "Simple fix. try masturbating before sex. It often helps men last longer when the real moment comes. The old man thought, "What the hell, I'll give it a shot." He spent the whole day wondering where to do it. The office was too public, the bathroom too risky, an alleyway definitely not safe. Then he had a bright idea. On the way home, he pulled his truck over to the side of the highway. He got out, crawled underneath like he was checking something, and decided that was the perfect private spot. He unzipped, closed his eyes, and started fantasizing about his wife. Just as he was about to finish, he felt a sudden tug on his pant leg. Without opening his eyes, he said, "What?" A voice responded, "This is the police." "What are you doing down there?" The man quickly replied, "Just checking my rear axle. It's busted." The cop said, "Well, while you're at it, you might want to check your brakes too, because your truck rolled down the hill 5 minutes ago." Little Johnny and Billy were engaging in the time-honored tradition of a verbal battle like little boys all over the world. "My father is better than your father," Billy declared. "No, he's not," Johnny responded. "My brother is better than you, brother," Billy said. "He is not. He is not," yelled little Johnny. "My mother is better than your mother," Billy continued. A long pause ensued, then little Johnny said, "Well, I guess you got me there. I've heard my father say the same thing more than once." A guy met a girl at a bar. He asked her, "May I buy you a drink?" "Okay," she replied, "but it won't do you any good." A little later, he asked her again, "May I buy you a drink?" "Okay, but it won't do you any good," she told him. At closing time, he invited her up to his apartment, which she accepted, but said, "Okay, but it won't do you any good." When they arrived at his apartment, he turned and said to her, "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever had the pleasure of meeting. I want you for my wife." "Oh," she replied, "that's different. Send her in and don't forget to close the door on your way out." The teacher wrote on the blackboard, "I ain't had no fun in months." Then the teacher asked the class, "How should I correct this sentence?" Little Johnny raised his hat and replied, "Get yourself a new boyfriend." A couple rushes into the hospital. Mom's in labor and it's go time. Just as they're getting admitted, a doctor stops them with an offer they've never heard before. "I've invented a machine that transfers labor pain from the mother to the father. Want to try it?" Exhausted and desperate, they both agree. Anything to ease the pain, right? The doctor starts at 20% pain transferred to the husband. Mom says, "Wow, that actually feels better." Dad shrugs. "I don't feel a thing." So the doctor turns it up to 50%. Mom smiles. "Much better." Dad again. "Still nothing." Now the doctor's impressed. "Let's go all the way." He cranks it up to 100% pain transfer. Mom, floating on clouds. Dad, "I feel great, honestly." Mom delivers a healthy baby, pain-free, and they head home beaming. But as they walk up to the porch, they find the mailman lying on the doorstep, groaning in agony. A couple of old guys were golfing when one mentioned that he was going to go to Dr. Smith for a new set of dentures in the morning. His elderly buddy remarked that he too had gone to the very same dentist 2 years before. "Is that so?" asked the first old guy. "Did he do a good job?" The second oldster replied, "Well, I was on the golf course yesterday when a guy on the next fairway hooked a shot. The ball must have been going at least 200 miles per hour when it smacked me right in the testicles." The first old guy was confused and asked, "What the hell does that have to do with your dentures?" "It was the first time in 2 years my teeth didn't hurt." At the wedding rehearsal, the groom pulls the pastor aside and makes a bold offer. "Here's $100, he whispers. When we get to the vows, skip the part where I have to love, honor, and obey, or promise to be faithful forever. Just leave that out, all right? The pastor nods, pockets the cash, and the groom walks away feeling pretty clever. Fast forward to the big day. The church is full. The bride is glowing. The groom stands proudly at the altar. Then the pastor turns to him and says, "Do you promise to prostrate yourself before her, obey her every command, serve her breakfast in bed every morning, and swear before God and this entire room that you will never so much as glance at another woman for as long as you both shall live?" The groom's eyes go wide. He swallows hard. "Yes," he squeaks. As they step aside, the groom leans in and hisses, "I thought we had a deal." The pastor slips a crisp $100 into his palm and whispers back, "She made me a better offer." Little Johnny looks puzzled. Johnny: "Teacher, can I ask you something weird?" Teacher: "Of course, sweetheart." "What is it?" Johnny: "Why is the second round always longer than the first round?" The class goes quiet. Teacher turns red. Teacher, awkwardly: "Well, that's because men usually warm up in the first round." Johnny, frowning: "Weird. I don't get football anymore." 3 contractors were asked to give estimates to replace a large fence around a country estate. The estate manager gathered them to review their bids. The first contractor carefully measured the fence length, did some quick calculations, and said, "Including materials and labor, I can do the job for £900. The second contractor did the same, and then said, "My estimate is £800 all in." Finally, the manager turned to the third contractor and asked for his estimate. Without measuring, the third man simply said, £2,800. Surprised, the manager asked, £2,800? But you haven't even measured anything. How did you come up with that number?" The contractor smiled, took the manager aside, and whispered, "That's £1,000 for me, £1,000 for you, and you hire the second contractor to do the work." The manager thought for a moment, then nodded. "Deal." An old man was on his deathbed and wanted to be buried with his money. He called his priest, his doctor, and his lawyer to his bedside. "Here's $30,000 cash to be held by each of you. I trust you to put this in my coffin when I die so I can take all my money with me." At the funeral, each man put an envelope in the coffin. Riding away in a limousine, the priest suddenly broke into tears and confessed, "I only put $20,000 into the envelope because I needed $10,000 to repair the roof of the church." "Well, since we're confiding in each other," said the doctor, "I only put $10,000 in the envelope because we needed a new X-ray machine for the pediatrics ward at the hospital, which cost $20,000. The lawyer was aghast. "I'm ashamed of both of you," he exclaimed. "I want it known that when I put my envelope in that coffin, I enclosed a check for the full $30,000. A senior's guide to Facebook. In real life. Since I never quite figured out how Facebook works, I decided to take a more hands-on approach. Now I just walk around the neighborhood and act like it's my timeline. I start the day by telling random people what I had for breakfast. Then I announce how I'm feeling, what I dreamed about, and what my afternoon plans are. I show strangers pictures of my grandkids, my tomato plants, my lunch, and sometimes my feet, for no reason at all. If someone says something nice, I give them a big thumbs up and say, "I like that." I've even started following people, literally, quietly, at a safe distance, you know, like a true fan. So far, it's going great. I already have 4 followers. 2 police officers, a concerned neighbor, and a social worker. Not sure if they liked me or just reported me, but hey, engagement is engagement. A lady walks into the bar on a cruise ship and orders a scotch with 2 drops of water. As the bartender hands her the drink, she smiles and says, "I'm on this cruise celebrating my 80th birthday. Today, in fact." The bartender replies, "Well, happy birthday. This one's on the house." As she sips her drink, the woman next to her says, "Let me buy your next one to celebrate." The old woman nods. "Thank you. Bartender, another scotch, and 2 drops of water." She finishes that one, and a gentleman on her other side chimes in, "I'd be honored to buy your next drink." "Thank you kindly," she says. "Bartender, you know the drill? Scotch, 2 drops of water." The bartender smiles and makes the drink, but curiosity gets the better of him. "Ma'am," he says, "I've got to ask, why the scotch with only 2 drops of water every time?" The old woman leans in and says, "Sonny, when you're 80, you learn how to hold your liquor." She pauses, then adds with a wink, "It's holding your water that's the real challenge." An elderly couple was celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. The couple had married as childhood sweethearts and had moved back to their old neighborhood after they retired. Holding hands, they walked back to their old school. It was not locked, so they entered. They found the old desk they'd shared where Jerry had carved "I love you, Sally." On their way back home, a bag of money fell out of an armored car, practically landing at their feet. Sally quickly picked it up and not sure what to do with it. They took it home. There, she counted the money. $50,000. Jerry said, "We've got to give it back." Sally said, "Finders keepers." She put the money back in the bag and hid it in their attic. The next day, 2 police officers who were canvassing the neighborhood looking for the money knocked on their door. "Pardon me, did either of you find a bag that fell out of an armored car yesterday?" Sally said, "No." Jerry said, "She's lying." She hid it up in the attic. Sally said, "Don't believe him, he's getting senile." The agents turned to Jerry and began to question him. One said, "Tell us the story from the beginning." Jerry said, "Well, when Sally and I were walking home from school yesterday." The first police officer turned to his partner and said, "Let's get out of here." A senior citizen drove his brand-new Corvette convertible out of the dealership. Taking off down the road, he floored it to 80 miles per hour, enjoying the wind blowing through what little gray hair he had left. Amazing, he thought as he flew down I-94, pushing the pedal even more. Looking in his rearview mirror, he saw a state trooper behind him, lights flashing and siren blaring. He floored it to 100 miles per hour, then 110, then 120. Suddenly he thought, "What am I doing? I'm too old for this," and pulled over to await the trooper's arrival. Pulling in behind him, the trooper walked up to the Corvette, looked at his watch, and said, "Sir, my shift ends in 30 minutes. Today is Friday. If you can give me a reason for speeding that I've never heard before, I'll let you go." The old gentleman paused. Then he said, "Years ago, my wife ran off with a state trooper. I thought you were bringing her back." "Have a good day, sir," replied the trooper. During his Sunday sermon on base, a Navy chaplain focused on the topic, "Forgive your enemies." After delivering a long message, he asked the congregation how many were willing to forgive their enemies. About half raised their hands. Not satisfied, he preached for another 20 minutes and asked again. This time, around 80% responded affirmatively. Still not content, he went on for another 15 minutes before posing the question one more time. With thoughts of Sunday lunch on everyone's mind, nearly every hand went up, except for one retired Master Chief in the back. "Master Chief, are you not willing to forgive your enemies?" he asked. "I don't have any," the Master Chief replied. Master Chief, that's quite remarkable. How old are you? The Master Chief replied, 93. Master Chief, please come up here and tell the congregation how someone can live to 93 and not have a single enemy. Slowly, the old Master Chief made his way to the front, turned around, and said, "It's simple. I just outlived them." Stumpy and his wife Martha went to the state fair every year. Every year, Stumpy would say, "Martha, I'd like to ride in that airplane." And every year, Martha would say, "I know, Stumpy, but that airplane ride costs $10, and $10 is $10. This one year, Stumpy and Martha went to the fair, and Stumpy said, "Martha, I'm 71 years old. If I don't ride that airplane this year, I may never get another chance." Martha replied, "Stumpy, that airplane ride costs $10, and $10 is $10. The pilot overheard them and said, "Folks, I'll make you a deal. I'll take you both up for a ride. If you can stay quiet for the entire ride and not say one word, I won't charge you. But if you say one word, it's $10. Stumpy and Martha agreed, and up they go. The pilot does all kinds of twists and turns, rolls and dives, but not a word is heard. He does all his tricks over again, but still not a word. They land, and the pilot turns to Stumpy. "By golly, I did everything I could think of to get you to yell out, but you didn't." Stumpy replied, "Well, I was going to say something when Martha fell out, but $10 is $10. Teacher, if I gave you 2 cats and another 2 cats and another 2, how many would you have? Johnny, 7. Teacher, no, listen carefully. If I gave you 2 cats and another 2 cats and another 2, how many would you have? Johnny, 7. Teacher, let me put it to you differently. If I gave you 2 apples and another 2 apples and another 2, how many would you have? Johnny, 6. Teacher, good. Now, if I gave you 2 cats and another 2 cats and another 2, how many would you have? Johnny, 7. Teacher, Johnny, where in the heck do you get 7 from? Johnny, because I've already got a cat.